Welcome to the Balanced Ambition podcast. I'm your host, Matt Southam. Here, we delve into candid conversations with entrepreneurs, exploring both their business journey and their secrets to maintaining mental well-being. As we navigate the balance of ambition and inner peace, I hope you find insights, inspiration, and invaluable takeaways in every episode. Thank you for joining us. Mark, thank you for joining me today. I want to kick off with quite a simple question. It will probably enable you to expand what you do, why you do it, etc. But why are people so important within a business, within a company?
Hi, Matt, and thank you for having me on the podcast today. It's a great question. From our point of view, the business that I've built up over the last 21 years now, it is people have just the core of the business. They're why we've been successful, um, and I think that transcends most industries and most businesses. Everyone can produce a great product or produce a great service, but ultimately the key to expanding and growing successful businesses, people that you hire and the opportunities that you give them. You have to build a great culture and a great environment for them to work in, but you have to hire the right people. It's really important for ourselves. Obviously, we're in that business anyway, in recruitment and talent acquisition, and we have to do the same for our clients. Find the right candidates with the right experience, expertise, and skill set, but they have to be a cultural fit as well.
Yeah, completely. So it's getting the right people, but the company needs to have that, I guess, the company culture set up so that actually it enables them to develop, to grow, and fit in. You know, it's all right. You don't want to just place someone who's maybe very technically good at their job, but is a complete disruptor to the culture and doesn't fit in. I guess it has to go a little bit hand in hand, and that's where you come in.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's the biggest biggest challenge for a lot of businesses is to hire the right people, and it can be a hugely expensive mistake if you hire the wrong person. You bring in somebody who's maybe, I don't like to use the word, but it gets used quite a lot. Bring in somebody who's toxic to the business and to the culture of the business. And yeah, one bad apple can really impact how a business potentially can grow.
Yeah, no, completely. I love that sort of one bad apple because we see that, don't we, with fruit. You know, if one bit goes mouldy, it does spread across them all, and that's
Yes,
why I guess
absolutely. Yeah.
company culture is so important. I think a lot of companies. I think they get no. Maybe it's unfair saying a lot of companies don't get it. I think a lot of the companies in the past haven't got it. I think people are starting to understand, but trying to change a culture can I guess be particularly tricky as well.
I think you're right. Historically, companies didn't really, and we found with clients, they didn't really have a huge focus on it. And I'm going back quite a few years now. I've been in the recruitment industry for many years now. But yeah, historically, it was I need to find somebody with this level of experience, with this skill sets. And I'm not saying people would ignore if they were the right fit for the organisation, but it's certainly become a lot more prevalent now that people will hire on culture fit rather than actually on the level of experience and the types of skills that potential candidates have.
Yeah, I guess you can train skill, can't you? But actually, someone's culture for an individual, I suppose, is the wrong word, but they need to be the right
Yes.
fit.
You'll need to be
Yeah,
the right fit, have the right attitude, know what the business strategy is, understand what they need to do to fit into that sort of the strategic plans, but also the culture of the business and what makes people successful and what enables them to thrive and build their careers as well.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess you know you've been in the business a while. Talk me through that a little bit and how you've actually embedded the culture within your own company and how that's enabled you to, I guess, partly educate other people, but also win work because you get it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the business, Claremont Consulting, set up, as I said, 21 years ago. Very much a back bedroom business to begin with, which is how many
Yeah.
recruitment firms have established themselves, and sort of slow growth and in the sort of formative years, and then we just got the opportunity to just through sort of business opportunities, I guess, and winning business from long-standing clients that you built relationships with, enabled us to then grow the business itself. And yeah, we now gone from that back bedroom business to global business. Head office is here in London, but we've got 2 offices in the US, Mexico, office in Hong Kong, and then some sort of satellite offices dotted around Europe, Stockholm, Germany, and also in Slovakia. What's been important for us in terms of growth uh, is just finding the right people. They're representing you as an organisation. They're representing you as a brand. From a personal point of view, I can't be on every call with every client and every candidate. So you want somebody to be able to represent you and to operate and work with people in the same methods and methodologies that you would.
Yeah. Yeah. And have you found that more challenging having offices sort of around the world? But when did you go from sort of UK based to suddenly expanding? And was that quite a daunting time, or were you sort of confident it was gonna? Obviously, it's panned out well, so that's the, I guess, spoiler alert. But was there that bit of
Um,
nerves?
I'd like to say confident, but there's always challenges. So we were very much a UK centric business when we first set up. We just really concentrated on the UK market. We got a number of opportunities with clients based here that were looking to use our services overseas as well. So 2009 we set up in Hong Kong. And then we then set some of the European entities up off the back of a couple of big opportunities with clients back in 2017, and then the same applied to the expansion into the US. That was around 2000, early to mid 2018. And yeah, it's not been without its challenges, but we're in that sort of position now where yeah, we can almost replicate what we've done been successful in the UK and Europe across different continents now. And the teams are smaller uh, in Hong Kong and the US, but again, finding the right people, hiring the right people has always been key to us, and we do sort of ensure that we're hiring the right culture again, that's going to represent Claremont as a brand.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you do that without, you don't have to give away trade secrets, but, but how do you get the right people? I guess that is the big question.
It's a big question. Yeah, it's a big question that clients ask. Yeah, how are you going to find us these people? And I'm not going to say we've 100% got it right every time. You do make mistakes. We've hired a couple of people that immediately, having joined us, it became quite apparent that they weren't going to be the right culture fit for us. So you have to make a tough call and make that decision to let them go. And I think it's just as time has gone on, and just the types of people that we know are successful within the business, you can pretty much pick them out at interview stage straight away. As I say, everyone makes mistakes. You learn from those
Yeah.
mistakes,
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, I think now we've got to the point where you just can almost have a sixth sense that this person will be successful when they join us. And yeah, like again, I haven't got a 100% hit rate even to this day, but certainly it's a high one. It's a high percentage.
Yeah, yeah, and to pick that up at interview stage, I guess is really key. So if someone was going for a job, so I'm pivoting slightly, but talking to someone
Sure.
looking for a role, how do they understand what culture that a company is looking for and whether they fit and whether they're going to be the right fit for the company? How do you promote it out if you're looking for someone? How do you
Yeah.
explain what sort of fit? Because we've all got
And
different personalities, haven't we?
we
And
have, yeah.
different people fit into different companies better just because of the way they work, not because they're
No,
bad
exactly.
people, just
Yeah.
you fit differently somewhere.
Well, we emphasise a lot to candidates that are potentially joining us or potentially coming for interview discussions, but also to candidates that we're looking to hire or place with clients to do a lot of research prior to any conversations taking place. So you do research on the business itself. You do a lot of research on, if you can, on the people that are actually going to be interviewing you. So just get some background information on them, try and find some common points and traits that you can make that sort of early discussion, some icebreakers,
Yep.
questions or answers. Um, so we do emphasize a lot on research, and what we, again, at interview stage for ourselves personally, if somebody hasn't done some research on us as a business, you really, it really creates that sort of question in your mind, almost a red flag that, yeah, are you just a number that, of
Mm.
businesses that they're talking to, or are they genuinely interested? Have they got passion to join you?
Yeah.
So the research is certainly one of the sort of number one keys that we say to people to do before actually getting to the interview stage. And then I think you just got to really, again, ask lots of questions. Ask questions to the interviewer as to, why did they join the business? What made them join the organisation? What type of characteristics, personality traits have other people in the business got that have made them successful? Why were they hired? What types of personality, as I say, can sort of join that business and grow and build on the sort of career opportunities that are on offer to them.
Yeah, completely. I guess, yeah, as well, for someone joining, they want to know that the company is the right fit for them and that there's actually going to be some progression. Most people are career driven, and not everyone, but a lot of people are joining a business, especially when the companies you're working with as a recruiter, to get the right people, but allow them to grow as a person as well, so that they can either grow within the business or equally move on to another
We'll move
business.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And things have changed a lot now. People are very career driven, as you say, but there's a lot more emphasis now on sort of work-life balance,
Mm.
particularly since lockdown, and there's that there's a lot of discussion around at the moment, just generally about hybrid working and being able to work remotely, and that is something that a number of our clients do offer. Um, some don't, and then you've got that challenge of some candidates almost expecting a sort of hybrid opportunities. So
Mm.
if they're not able to work remotely, then potentially for them that's not the right culture fit. But career career opportunities are still the biggest driver for people. They want to know that they can improve themselves as individuals. So training opportunities, training options are always one of the first questions we get asked. And when we're presenting a client to a candidate is career opportunities and training. They're the big two. Salary, not so much now. People still obviously would like to earn a good salary,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it's still one of the sort of drivers for people, but it's not anywhere near as much as training and career opportunities.
No, no, I can see that. I think in the past everyone just had a job, and you just
Yes, yeah,
wanted to try and be paid more for doing a job. But actually now, yeah, and talk whether it's hybrid, whether it's the culture, whether it's just the enjoyment level. Actually, we want more from work than just turning up and then taking home a salary.
I,
People,
I
we
think
want
you're
more.
right. Yeah, yeah, and I think that's a generational shift as well. Gone are the days when you'd work for a company for 20, 25, 30 years until you retired. There's a lot more fluidity now, and average job tenure in the sector that we work in tech is relatively low, sort of 2.5 years, and people will then sort of expect to move on to improve their career,
Yeah.
climb that career ladder.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's definitely generational, isn't it? You know, knew people who worked for the same company for,
Exactly.
from
Yeah.
school until they retired, and it
So
just
they
doesn't.
retired and got a gold clock. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And actually thinking about how many jobs people have now throughout their lifetime, it changes. Well, yeah, it's really
It,
jumped
it
up.
does. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely has.
How are you finding or what's your take on the hybrid, the work from home? Because of course it was very much, and we even had it. We were very much office based, and most businesses were. To almost to be taken seriously, you had an office, and
Yes. Yeah.
and then obviously COVID changed all that, and suddenly everyone's got a laptop and it's work from home, and now there's that balance. And one thing that struck me is actually that balance between productivity, but also the company culture. As in, it's all right. Someone can work at home and be absolutely brilliant and get all the work done, but then they don't know their colleagues. They don't know what's
No.
going on, and actually, they're almost working singularly on a project rather than just
Rather than as part of a team.
as
Yeah.
part of a team. So I
Absolutely
guess there's,
agree.
there's that
Yeah.
balance. What's your take on that?
So we, as a business, we offered prior to sort of COVID and prior to lockdown, we had opportunities for people to work from home. It's almost a split camp, which doesn't sound great when you talk about a culture within the business.
No.
But we had a lot of, we still do have a number of working parents who primarily work in what I'll call our non-sales team, so our sort of operational, typical head office type function. So very, very sort of operations, finance,
Yeah.
HR, um, and a number of those were working parents, and we always offered that flexibility prior to lockdown of dictate your own hours for school runs,
Yeah.
parents' evenings, and things like that, and opportunities to work at home as well. Um, Very firm believer for the sales side, particularly for makes me sound old when I say the younger generation, but the recruiters we have. Um, I'm a firm believer that they need to, or they thrive better, should I say, in a office environment. So they're working within a team, they're bouncing ideas off of each other, they're asking questions across the desk or across the floor. That yes, you can ask those if you're working at home, but you're having to do that via messaging services or picking the phone up, and
Yeah.
it's we found people they actually prefer our sales floor prefer or they operate better and they actually like coming into the office, and like a lot of companies post lockdown when we were first allowed back into the office, if that allowed being the right word,
Yeah. Yeah.
we found it a challenge. We're in central London in the city. The fact that pretty much everybody, with a few exceptions who sort of ran in or cycled in, pretty much everyone was having to utilise public transport. So
Yeah.
there's still a reluctance to come back in. But that was at the very early stages of return to work. Since then, our sales floor are in 5 days a week, unless there is a need to be flexible and work from home on odd occasions, and we just have to display that flexibility. Now, if they come to us next week and said, "Actually, I want to work from home," that becomes a different challenge to us, and potentially, if it works better for us, then we would. But at the moment, I'm a very much a firm believer that in terms of productivity and really from a sales perspective, they work much better in a team environment. As you said, you almost feel like an individual.
Yeah.
But you're contributing to a project, but you're not part of that team, and you're not being able to bounce ideas off of each other, or just listen in. Particularly on the sales side, you can't listen in as well. Technology allows you to, but you can't listen in as well to sort of peers' conversations or
Yeah.
senior guys' conversations and learn from them. And
Yeah.
again, the reverse to that is they can't listen to their conversations and advise them on what they should or shouldn't be saying.
No, no, I'm a big sort of believer in productivity, and productivity just means the best way to do whatever it is you're trying to do, and actually for different
Yeah,
roles, productivity is almost different setups. I mean, I love working. I'm working from home today, and it's digital, and I'm online, and that's great. But there are times when actually the best way to solve this problem is all get together.
let's
And
be yes,
sometimes the
get together.
best
Yeah,
best way to solve a problem is actually put the laptop away, get out a big sheet of paper and a pen, and start writing it down.
yeah,
It's just using different tools to achieve whatever you're trying to achieve. And I think often we try and strip back stuff to the digital, seamless, remote way as being really productive, and it can be, but it's not
absolutely.
always the
Yeah,
best way. And I think it's understanding that there's not just one way to solve a problem, and it always depends on what the problem is.
absolutely. I think flexibility is the key word as well. You just need to be able to demonstrate flexibility.
Yeah,
Said the example for us is just the demographic between our sales team and our non-sales team means that there are more working parents in the non-sales team,
yeah,
um, and you have to say that you have to be able to give them that flexibility to, as I said, to dictate their hours around school runs, and anything to do with a work-life balance, particularly with young families.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm a massive believer in that. I mean, I spent years where I was always at the office and would miss things. But now I've
Yeah,
got that
absolutely.
got that
Myself.
flexibility to you know pop to see a school assembly at 9:15, and but that's fine. I'm
Yeah.
still in the office by 10, and I crack on and fine. But it didn't work before. It just couldn't. So yeah, how have you balanced that sort of work life? Obviously, you're in your London office, but how do you sort of manage all of that?
Um, from a personal
Yeah, from a
perspective,
personal
myself,
perspective.
yeah. I mean, I was very similar to you. Even with forming and operating Claremont, it was in the office pretty much 5 days a week. Obviously, there'd be odd days where it was easier to work from home. And as you said, everyone's now got a laptop and a mobile phone. It makes it so much easier
Yeah,
than many years ago. And similar to you, when prior to setting the business up and working for an employer, you were expected to be in 8 in the morning till 5:30, 6 in the evening,
yeah,
and there was no reason for you to work at home. And yeah, the technology's advanced, so it's made it easier. But I actually, similar to you now, I probably in the office 3 or 4 days a week, work from home 1 or 2, and I actually quite enjoy the change in scenery and
yeah,
change in travel. I look forward to getting onto the train some mornings now, where I never used to when it was a 5 day a week commute. It's just a different, yeah, it's just a variation. I think it's just a different day. Spending it at home, obviously, can spend a lot more time catching up on things with fewer disturbances.
yeah,
But what you do need to do is to be in the office as well, to be sort of at the forefront of what's going on and understanding everybody. And as I said earlier, listening to their conversations, advising them, grabbing 5 to 10 minutes with them if there's anything particular that they want to speak to. speak to you about, and I always think that's better face to face than on a video call or over the phone. So yeah, I'm actually enjoying it, and so just like the variety of being able to work from home and work in the office.
Yeah, I think so. And I think you mentioned about being in and seeing the team, and I guess there's that leadership thing of showing up, and
Absolutely, yes,
being there as well. And part of
yeah,
running a business isn't it is a people game as well as winning business and doing all of the behind the scenes bits. Actually, being there for your team,
being there
and
for the team, yeah, as you
yeah,
say, showing
and
up, yeah,
showing up, because people want to, they don't just work for the company, they work for you and the culture you've set, and all
100%, yeah,
all of that. So you've got to have that with your team. I even business to business isn't business to business, it's people to people. Behind every
it is,
business is a person, and you've got to be
yeah,
able to connect. So it's whether you're talking to clients, whether it's talking internally to your team, actually on a human level. And I loved what you said about working parents and things like that, and just understanding people's situation, and understanding that work is a massive part of everyone's life. It's something that takes up so many of our hours,
it
but it's not
does,
the
yeah.
only thing in life. And
No, it's not.
it's trying to well, even the
Yeah,
podcast school's balanced, but finding that right balance, that actually we can have some strong areas in all parts of our life, and being able to pop to a school assembly or a sports day or
yeah,
whatever it is, but also get your work done. And yeah, I don't think I could go back to being full time in the office, but equally, I like to be out and about. I like to go and see people. I
yeah,
like to break it up. I've been on the train a couple of times last month to an office about an hour away, and actually, I quite enjoyed it. It was good
yeah.
fun,
It's,
and
it's to
got
say,
loads
it's
done.
just a different environment, different situation. Lot, just it's just a variation on what you would be doing if you were in the office 5 days a week, or um, really. And you look back now, you'd think, how did I work from home 5 days a week during lockdown? Um, we're only allowed to go out once a day for a walk, and you're just sat
Yeah,
in front of the yes, front of your laptop for hours on end.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's looking back now that was a challenging period. But yeah, and you hit
Y-
the nail on the head a minute ago, Matt. It's all about relationships. Yeah,
Yeah,
we've built our whole business on relationships, both with clients, but where we've been able to forge relationships and over a number of years, get lots of, sort of repeat business from that, but also candidates that you know 10 years ago they may have been a candidate, and we've placed them into a job where they've been successful and they've climbed the career ladder, and they then become a client, and you've kept that relationship going. And then it's internal relationships as well. You're right about the leadership piece, and showing up. Ours recruitment industry, particularly in London, is very competitive in terms of attracting new staff. And anybody could walk out of our business today and find a job in another recruitment business quite easily, just down the road. Um, and so we have to make it a place where and a management team where people actually want to work for you. They want to
yeah.
come in, and they want to have that engagement with you. And as you said, they want you to show up and show leadership skills.
Yeah, yeah, completely. Leadership is I think leadership and culture are two of the biggest sort of building blocks that companies need to get right. Actually, the delivery of the
Absolutely. Yeah.
service actually is like you say, and anyone can can fall into that, and every product or every company can create a great product, and even customer service to a certain extent. You can train someone to read from a script, but actually to be a representative of a company, that's culture, and to
That's the culture part. Yeah.
want to actually want the company to succeed and want it to do well. When I mean, different jobs, I know some people pay commission and things like that, but there's still lots of jobs that are purely salary based. But if you want the best from someone, then it's not about the money. It's that they believe in
Yeah,
what you're doing. It's about they believe in the company, and they actually want your customers and that the people they're dealing with to actually go home happy, and they
yeah.
will step above and deliver that.
You're absolutely right. And wanting the company to succeed, I think is really key. And as I said, wanting to work for you, work with you, um, and as you say, not just show up and get paycheck at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Um, you want people who going to buy into your vision of what you want the company to represent, where you want the company to go, and that's the key when you're hiring people is to look for people who want to do that, if and can share that sort of passion to do that. As I said, not just want a job that they turn up to and get paid at the end of each month, and
Mm.
not really have sort of opportunities to grow themselves. So it's really important that you get people with the right attitude and the right ambition, to themselves want to succeed, but also want the company to succeed as well.
Yeah, yeah. Money is often a short-term motivator, and quite often, when you get a pay rise and it's done over the year, it sounds a lot, but actually diluted down per month, and it's like, oh, I've got a little bit
Yeah,
more, and it's a
yeah,
short-term motivator. It makes you feel good, but then the following week, actually, if you're dreading going to the office, it
doesn't
doesn't
make a lot
make
of
up for
difference,
it.
does it?
No,
No.
it really doesn't. So, yeah, I mean, it's been brilliant chatting today. I think one of the key things I've got out there is culture and understanding your people. If someone was looking to start a business now, what advice would you give them on how to set that culture? Do they need a vision for the company and then work out what people want? How would you define it? What would you do if you were starting again? How would you set that from the
That,
start now?
yeah, that's a really good question. Very relevant as well, because we do work with a number of sort of tech startups and scale ups, and it's a question that um, they often ask, not just from approaching us from a sort of hiring basis, but how have you built your business up, and what do we need to do in terms of implementing a culture? And it comes from the like, it comes from the top. It comes from the the CEO, senior man or senior leadership team. Um, it comes from them having to recognise that, there's key hires they need to bring in, and just working out the pattern of when those key hires need to come in. Who's going to be the important people that are going to help drive the business forward, and uh, who is going to manage the new hires when they come in as well, and make sure they make the right decision, in terms of culture fit. It all comes from the very top, so from the senior leadership team. Um, to work closely. Whoever comes in is going to have to obviously work closely with them. But then they've got to help. They've all got to contribute and work together to build that culture.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I hope that made sense. I
No, it
started to
does.
not make sense in my own head.
I often, I look at companies and culture and everyone working together. Sometimes a little bit like football teams, and we've seen it in the past where you look at a
Yes,
football team and on paper you look at some of those players and you're like, this is the winning team. And then you see them on the pitch, and actually,
yeah,
you might have
they're
two of the world's
disjointed.
best players, but they
Yes,
just don't
yeah,
play well together. It's just, and that's not necessarily culture, but just the way you build your team. Actually,
absolutely.
you might have to get rid of that world class player, bring in someone slightly better to allow the other world class player to perform their role.
To perform
And
their role, and
yeah,
getting
understanding how
using
people work together.
using that football analogy is hiring the right people in the right position. So I had
Yeah.
someone used the football analogy a while back in a conversation with me, and they said you wouldn't hire Lionel Messi and put him in goal. So
No, no.
you've got to hire the right person for the right role.
For the right role. Yeah, there's no point having
Yeah,
10 strikers.
no,
It's if there's no one in defence, you're still going to get beaten. Doesn't matter how
exactly.
many times you
And
try
then
and
you've got to have
score
a
goals.
cohesive team. And again, to use that football analogy, the senior leadership team are effectively the manager or the coach. So they've
Yeah.
got to pull that team together, point them in the right direction, give them the right tactics. Again, using the football analogy,
Actually, it's 100%
and know
right.
when to make changes.
Yeah. Yeah, because actually the manager and the coach, they do their bit, but actually it's the players out there who are performing.
Representing, yeah,
Yeah, and it's the
yeah,
same as a leader of a business. Quite often, it like you say, you can't sit on every call, you can't have every conversation with every client and every
exactly,
You've
yeah,
got to delegate, and they've got to perform. You can only do your bit, and they've got to believe in you, believe in the business, and actually want
uh,
want everything to succeed.
yeah, 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah. Well, I think we've definitely agreed quite a lot on and culture, leadership. They are some
Absolutely,
key bits, and certainly one of my takeaways today is as a leader showing up and leading from the front. I think everyone needs to remember that's important, and understanding I guess everyone's different needs. The way you split that on what works for some people or what works for some teams, with regard to the role they're playing or their current lifestyle. Or lifestyle is the wrong word, their life
it is, yeah.
setup. But
Yeah,
and
so
ensuring you can
identifying
support them.
those and yeah, and not having that to use a bit of a cliche, but not having that one size fits all. You need to identify what strengths and weaknesses members of the team have and play to the strengths. And
Yeah,
yeah, again, ensuring that it's for the good of the team and the business as a whole.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Cool, Mark. It's been fantastic to talk to you today. Thank you so much for joining me. And
No, thank you, Matt.
that's
It's
all
a
right.
pleasure to talk to you.
Excellent. Cool. Enjoy the rest of your day.
And you. Thanks very much, Matt.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Balanced Ambition podcast. I genuinely hope the stories inspire you as much as they inspire me. If you found value in today's conversation, please share it with a friend. And remember, by subscribing, you won't miss an episode, and it would truly mean the world to me. Stay balanced, and I'll see you next time.